We're live.
We're live. We think we're live. Are we live? We don't know if we're live. Krista, I don't know what that means.
You're live.
We're live. Okay, we're live. Hey guys, welcome
There's
to our
no one here.
very first Madison Chase Live.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what we're doing. We've never done this before, but welcome to our mess of tonight. Thanks for joining us. We wanted to sit down and try an IG Live for the first time because, quite honestly, we get questions all the time. All the time, questions, and we love answering questions, honestly, and being able to educate our clients, our friends, our family, strangers, anybody that we run into. And so it was our sweet assistant, Krista, that was like, hey guys, you should do Q&A and help everyone out here. So we got a ton of questions, we narrowed it down, so I'm sorry we're not going to get to all of them, but we'll get through a chunk of them tonight. And obviously, if you have anything that's pressing, type it in. I think it'll show up, and Krista can maybe get it to us. So, are we ready?
Yeah, let's get it started.
Okay, first question. Oh, I'm the first question.
Yeah.
How can I get started flipping houses?
Wow, that's probably one of the most popular and loaded questions that we get. Well, I'd say the best way to get started is you call us.
Yep, step one.
But genuinely, I think the most important aspect of that process is finding the deal and really defining what is a deal to you, because everyone has a different level of resources available to them. So some people may say, I want, the horrible flip that's all dilapidated so I can go in and renovate the entire thing. And some people may say, hey, I don't have a lot of cash to work with. I'd rather maybe secure a contract and wholesale that to a different investor who maybe has those resources. So,
which I don't know, do you want to explain what wholesaling means? Because not everybody knows what a wholesale contract
I'd
is.
say the most simplified version of a wholesale is a investor goes directly to a homeowner who's in distress, whether that's financial or the property is distressed, and they secure a contract with that homeowner.
Right, which this is what Chase and I do all day, every day. Like this is we giggle and call it the black market of real estate because nobody ever sees the business that we do off market. They only see the on market stuff. Mm-hmm. But the black market of real estate offers where we do secure these contracts on properties that nobody knows about. And it gives buyers an opportunity and investors to purchase them lower than market price.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to think, if a seller is in a position where they don't have the cash to renovate the house themselves, or maybe they're falling behind on payments, we're actually doing a great service by stepping in and hopefully giving them some cash and getting them out from underneath this house. So the goal here is to obviously make it a win-win, but when you do this, chances are you're getting a really good deal on the house. So when you do this wholesale, you're buying it for, let's say, I'll just say $150,000 as a round number. So
that's
you
not
may
happening
find
in today's world, but
yeah,
great
not,
example.
Yeah, nice and round. But then you would go to maybe another investor who has those resources, and you may offer them this wholesale contract for $165,000. So now there's a $15,000 delta that you're essentially taking as profit because you're selling it to them for more than this homeowner is selling it to you. And so you're not actually taking title of the house, you're just essentially selling the right to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Which, doing that, you can make money in that regard, but also when the next person buys it at $165,000, let's say market value on that might be $200,000, and so you're buying it considerably lower, and so everybody is making hay, so to speak, and having a win there. The other thing too that I like to just touch on real quick about flipping is I think every homeowner should look at themselves as a home flipper, right? You've got your own primary residence, which you can usually go buy with a loan and put relatively low down payments to purchase, right? So it gives you a good low barrier of entry to be able to make it happen.
Good finance.
Yeah, when you're buying these wholesale properties that Chase was talking about, that's cash. So if you don't have the cash, it's not happening. Sorry, don't want to burst the bubble, but it's not happening. So this way, though, you can go get a more traditional type of financing, get into your home, and do what I like to call the slow flip, where maybe over a year, 2 years, 3 years, you're slowly renovating your house. You get to live in the money that you're spending. Your house is appreciating because the market's going up, and you now get to go sell that flipped property. And so maybe you got into it and you had maybe $50,000 in it by the time that you put a down payment and actually did the renovations, and you sell it and you walk away with $100,000. So you doubled your money. So
nice.
Tons of different things.
One thing, I guess, just to kind of jump on that train is, as a homeowner, you also get to avoid some capital gains if you stay in the house for the last 2 of 5 years when you go to sell it. So that's truly a conversation to be had with a CPA.
That's a whole other
But I'll just
thing.
throw it out there that you also get to save some taxes as a homeowner.
And truly, if you guys have more questions about flip, like obviously this is question 1 and we could be here all night talking about flipping. If you have more pointed questions, shoot us a direct message, reach out to us, because we'll talk through your scenario and we can help say, okay, this really should be your investment plan over the next 6 months, 12 months, year, whatever it might be. So, okay,
So,
next question.
Question number 2, what is your craziest real estate story?
Oh, drum roll, please. Okay, so let's just preface this story with Chase goes everywhere with me. I never go anywhere alone because, like, I don't like to be alone. Sometimes I meet strangers, and luckily we have fantastic clients and everything's been good, but you never know. So Chase goes everywhere with me. One time Chase did not go with me. So Madison pulls up to a property, right? Cute little house, just been flipped, right? Flip house, adorable house. And there was a gate around the property, like a little black gate fence that kind of enclosed it. Well, I noticed that the gate had been open, as if like a car would have been pulled into the driveway, but it wasn't all the way closed. And I was kind of thinking, something's a little weird, but like, I don't know. So proceeded up to the front door with my client, and wow. So I start kind of looking around, and I see a window off to the corner, and I just get a little closer to this window, and before I know it, I am at a crime scene, you guys. It was no joke. Chase still thinks I exaggerate this until he got the photos. So pull up, there's literally glass everywhere. Somebody had shattered the window, glass everywhere, blood everywhere. Blood dripping down the house, blood all over the floor, some kind of paraphernalia, meth pipe, crack pipe, I don't know, guys. I don't know the difference, to be honest, but it was bad. I knew it was bad, and I was like, wow, this is really not good. And my client is sitting here, and she's like, well, are we gonna go inside? And I was like, do you wanna go inside still? And she's like, yeah, I really wanna see this house. I really like this house. And I'm like, okay, do you see the glass and the blood and the paraphernalia on the ground? And she's like, well, I don't know, it looks like it's dried, so like maybe they're gone. And I'm thinking, this is a horrible plan. So I shouldn't have, but I opened the door. So knocked, nothing happened, opened the door. Before we were even 2 steps in that building, a guy comes wandering out, half dressed, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? I was like, we're trying to tour this house. He's like, oh, now's not a good time. And I was like, are you the owner? And he's like, yeah, I'm the owner. And I was like, I'm not the owner. I was like, okay, well then we'll come back another time, leave, call the cops. Next thing we know, 8 police cars and 15 SWAT members show up. So that's probably one of the craziest ones.
And in the meantime, I will notate, so I'm not there, but I'm just getting photos of like cop cars on the street, and I'm thinking, the one time I'm not there, and sure enough, Madison is like, I thought it was a prank or something. I don't know. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, so anyways, it's real, guys. So that's probably one of the craziest. Honestly, we have 100 more, but that one's up there. So, okay, next question. How much money do I need to buy a house? Great question.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of misconception around this.
Definitely. So I would say, obviously, everyone's situation is unique. So I've seen clients buy houses for literally like
hundreds
a couple $100 out of their pocket. And so I think it really just comes down to, what does your income look like? What are your debts? And, how much cash do you have available? Because, there's this kind of sliding spectrum. And so in general, I would say the smaller the down payment, the larger your monthly payments are going to be. And as you increase that down payment, your monthly payments are going to start going lower. So I think that ultimately you can really decide how much money you want to put down, but you also have to weigh it out again with this threshold of where do I want my monthly payment to land.
Right. And I think too, people don't realize, like Chase, we're not joking when we said people buy houses with a few $100. Like that's real. There's down payment assistance programs, there's special programs for doctors, nurses, firefighters, and even teachers. So I would say if you're even like, if it's on your radar, you want to buy a house in the next year, 2 years, give us a call, because the reality is that we've had so many clients that literally have been like saving for months and months and months. And with how the market has been right now, which we'll get into in a minute, but it's climbing so dramatically that the amount of money that you're saving in 6 months time waiting, you are losing $25,000 if not $30,000 on the back end of a purchase price. So what I'm saying is you could buy the same house today with maybe a little less down, for $30,000 less than you're gonna buy it in 6 months from now. And that money that you save may truly still not even be enough because of the price increase. So give us a call so we can run through your scenario, because like I said, a few $100, a few $1,000. I would say traditionally though, we're looking at 5% down, 3.5% down, up to 20% down if you're doing what we would consider a traditional sale. But nothing that Chase and I do is traditional, so give us a call.
I would also say that some people will choose to put a smaller down payment, so that way they have some cash available to go in, maybe throw in some new carpet or laminate, paint the walls, you know,
The
so
slow
you
flip.
can, yeah, the slow flip, you know, so that way they have a little bit of that cash available.
Right.
So a lot of different options.
It's strategy, ultimately, and we don't know your strategy until we know the whole picture view, essentially. So, okay.
Let's see. Next question. When is a good time to refinance for a new FHA owner? Wow.
Great question. So, I'm gonna have to say I need to know your specific circumstance, but I'll go into a little bit of details. A refinance is great, but there's a strategy that goes with it. So we're gonna need to know timeline that you're gonna be in the property, because if you go refinance a house and it costs you $5 or $6 grand to refinance that house, well, if the reduction in payments, the benefit that you're getting on a monthly basis, if you're not gonna stay in that house for a term long enough to repay yourself that $5,000 or $6,000 that you just spent to refinance and more, then why'd you do it, right? So if your refinance costs $5 grand and you're gonna be out of it in 2 years and it's only gonna cost you $2,000 of extra payments to stay in your current loan, doesn't make sense to refinance. We also just had a client the other day who was thinking about selling, and he's like, I'm gonna refinance real quick, but then I wanna sell it in a couple months. And we're like, no man, don't go spend thousands of dollars before we sell it, because the reality is you're gonna lose that money. Spend the extra $150 a month for 2 or 3 months to make the same amount of money when you sell, versus having a deduction on the back end of $5 or $6 grand. So for FHA, there's also some things depending on what's going on with your circumstance, where FHA loans have a higher, something called a PMI, which is your mortgage insurance. So when you do an FHA loan, you're usually putting 3.5% down, which is a relatively low down payment. So the bank is saying, hey guys, I'm coming in with a bunch of cash, and you came in with just a little bit of cash, so you need to pay an insurance company $200 a month on top of your mortgage to make sure that if you miss a payment, they're gonna step in and pay me, the bank, back. And so there becomes a threshold where you have enough equity in the home, which that's 20%. When you have 20% equity, which right now you got 3.5, because that's what you put down, so you got a little ways to go. Once you get to 20%, then you can remove the PMI. So now your payment will go down $200 a month, which is awesome. Little side note, off topic here, but side note about that. When you're buying a house, there's all kinds of creative ways that you should talk to your lender about how to eliminate that PMI. You can get an FHA loan, or I'm sorry, you can't get an FHA, but you could get a conventional loan that still requires you to have that, and wipe that out by paying it up front so that it doesn't become a part of your monthly payment. And you can use seller credits and all kinds of things to make that happen, which is awesome. But anyways, coming back to this, FHA buyer. So reducing the PMI is also something that could be a reason that you want to refinance. I bring that up because let's say you're doing the slow flip. Let's say you said, I'm going to put 3.5% down, get into the property. I'm going to keep a little bit of cash back rather than putting it down, and I'm going to renovate. I'm going to put new countertops on. I'm going to paint my kitchen cabinets, and I'm going to redo the bathroom. Now that you've done these things, the market's appreciated, and let's say 8 months has gone by since you bought that house, right? If timing and everything works in your favor, you may now have 20% equity because your home is now updated. This is where it gets really badass, to be honest, because now you can go back, refinance into a 20% down conventional loan because your equity becomes the down payment in the refinance. And now you're dropping that PMI, so you don't have the mortgage insurance, and your payment is drastically lowering, and you're getting a better rate. So again, all kinds of things to do, but it really depends on your circumstance. So if you're considering a refinance, give us a ring. We'll walk you through it and say, hey, now is the perfect time. You should have done it last week. You should have done it 6 months ago. Or, hey, let's get you rolling in the next 6 months from now. So, okay. Oh, I love this one. Okay. Do you think the market is going to crash?
Wow. We get this question all the time. And to make it a short answer, no, I don't think it's going to crash. But there's a lot that goes into it. So I think specifically in our Sacramento kind of tri-county market, we have just seen truly such a low amount of inventory and a huge migration of buyers coming over from the Bay Area that it's a bloodbath. That's really the only way that I can describe it. And so there's articles from Realtor.com, MarketWatch.com that just ranked Sacramento as the #1 forecasted market in the entire nation. So when you factor in, again, low interest rates, big migration coming from the Bay Area, it's proving that for California as a whole, there is some people leaving California, but a lot of people just within California are focusing in our tri-counties. So I can't comment for the entire nation, but I would say we are super well preserved here. And truly, in addition, real estate is cyclical by nature. So it's not if it will go down, it's when it goes down. So there will, of course, be a correction eventually, but I just don't see it anytime soon myself.
Right, I don't disagree. And I think, too, it's important to point out, because everybody is a little tainted from the last crash, right? The last crash was the first recession, if you will, that was actually caused by real estate itself. So I just want to touch on this real quick, because I think this piece of education is missing in the public. So historically, all recessions have been brought out of a recession because of the real estate market. So one, that's a very good asset to hold, especially when the world starts to go down. The second thing is, the only reason that recession happened was because how loans were being packaged way back when was fraudulent, for lack of a better word. Like literally, it was stated income. That means you could walk in and say, I want to buy this $1 million house. I make $800,000 a year and I've got no debt. And they just type it in to their magical machine, and next thing you know, you're buying $1 million house that you can't afford. So that's what happened, and that just started to snowball and catch up with everybody. And that's why we saw it. So that is not going on right now. Honestly, quite the opposite. It is, you are laying your life out for them to get a loan. And there's a lot of check and balance now between all of the different entities. And so it's really preserved, and I don't foresee that being an issue. I think, though, there is a conversation to be had around coronavirus, right? Coronavirus is allowing people to enroll in something called mortgage forbearance. And we have a couple of videos, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this one, but where that means they actually can defer their payments for up to 12 months. So if somebody's not paying their mortgage for 12 months and they don't go get a job in that window of time, when 12 months rolls around, the bank's going to be saying, hey, it's time, pay up, right? And when that starts to happen, if somebody's not in a position where they're able to continue making payments, we could start to see some foreclosures. But with that being said, that's not going to happen right now. This spring is going to be crazier than we have ever seen before. Because the reality is, you're still eligible to sign up for that. We might start to see that, maybe start to see some foreclosures trickling in the next, I'd say 8 months from now, start to see them. And now we're talking minimal. Right now, California's foreclosure rate is like less than 1%. And so it's so minimal. It's not like where you're walking down the street and every other house is in foreclosure like it was way back when. So anyways, if we had a crystal ball, we'd be really, really rich, guys. And we could tell you exactly what was going on. But for right now, I have no fear myself. I have no fear advising our clients to buy and sell. The market is high. The market is hot. People are getting crazy prices for their house. But I also believe that we're going to see an increase at a pretty steady pace for the next several years before I think it will just level off, not dip or correct or crash. But I think just maybe we're inclining at a high rate, and then we just kind of tilt a little. And so instead of inclining at 9 and 10%, we might be inclining in price at 3 or 4%. Which still, to me, it's a great investment. And if you can get in now, it's like you're still getting that appreciation.
Yeah, it is a quick Google search to find out that there are more millionaires made in real estate than any other industry. So I feel like if you buy real estate for the long-term hold especially, you're going to be golden.
So let's make you a millionaire. Right? So, okay, well, we want to pause there?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap.
All right, guys. Well, it's been great. Is there anything, Krista, any questions or things I need to answer or do right now? Again, we're new. Sorry, guys. Okay, well, thanks for listening and chatting with us. Again, you know where to find us. We'd love to hear your thoughts, commentary, and like I said, if you have any other questions, throw them our way. I think we're going to try to do these a little bit more into 2021, so stay on the lookout. Thanks again.